Steve Vessel, Ace, and Deathmetal Dave.
Do you need a chance? Or do you
I'm good. I think I'm set up here.
I like how this list is like best horror movies with amazing practical effects. Number 1 is It from 2017.
Which was done by a woman. Yeah, her name is Sarah Craig.
Hatchet's not on this list. I don't believe it.
She worked on Dawn of the Dead, Silent Hill, and It, Urban Legends. She's pretty cool. I mean, Heather Langenkamp's husband, they own the company that did the Dawn of the Dead special effects.
Oh, yeah.
For the remake, yeah. Her and her dude.
We're also going to talk about American Werewolf in Paris.
Oh, we've got to. The condom chewing scene is fucking amazing and graphic as fuck.
That movie's great. In a really bad way. I watched it not too long ago, so yeah.
Oh my god. Are we really going to talk about American Werewolf? I can't wait.
I think that's probably the first. That might be one of the first horror movies that I remember like CGI being in.
God damn, I'm old.
I mean, that was like 95.
Are you trying to rub it in now? Is that what's going on? Thanks, Ace. Are we rolling yet, buddy?
It was a year.
Corey says we're rolling. Welcome to the Gore Club Podcast. I'm Steve Vessel.
And Deathmetal Dave.
I'm Ace.
And we have a guest this evening. You will be able to see him on our YouTube, and you'll be able to hear him on all your podcast apps. Please introduce yourself.
Trevor Thompson.
Trevor, tell us a little about yourself.
I am a makeup and special effects artist for film and television.
Sweet. Anything you can talk about right now that you've done recently?
Not that I've done recently, no.
I love the secrets.
Don't hold back.
So many secrets. Now I've worked on a bunch of films that you've never heard of.
That's I mean, we probably have heard a couple of them, but yeah.
I do a lot of music videos though too.
I saw some
for
music
bands that
videos
you
you did.
have heard of.
Like who? Who are we talking
I've done them for Code Orange, Motionless in White, Newfound Glory. A lot of like really kind of hardcore bands that I don't listen to.
A paying gig.
But there's super violent music videos, so it does well.
Well, that's fucking awesome. And that goes right into what we're talking about tonight. We are going to talk about splatter films, splatter moments, special makeup effects artists, period.
Where do you want to start with this?
I wanted to go and talk about some obvious stuff before we get into the history of some of our favorite films and favorite scenes. And one of the most glaring thing, doing homework on this episode, and just being who I am, just a fucking white dude, is the women of horror. And when it comes to special makeup effects, it's even small. I can't think what the percentage is right now when it comes to special makeup effects. People working in film. I don't mean on Instagram and social media. I mean, even just low budget. It's like it's slowly growing, and that's fucking awesome. I know people who actually do instruct at Tom Savini School, or I mean, actually, Trevor, you went to Tom Savini School, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
What's your take on women of horror? I mean, I know it's a now growing field.
It's definitely growing. It's been a boys' club it was really a boys' club for about 6 decades there. Yeah, millennia. But it's still a boys' club, but it's starting to, it's already started, but like now especially, like you've got like some really great effects work coming out of like female-driven departments. So there's definitely like a female renaissance happening right now with makeup effects. They're kind of some of the best work I've seen is coming from women, in the field. So,
well, give us some examples. Actually, has anybody out of your graduating class today have they gone on to anything that is notable? And if it's that's fine. It kind of feeds into the my perception of it's fucking bullshit.
There's a lot of us that are working, but nobody that's like on like massive stuff right now. That does take some time, but one really, modern day, like very prolific, artist is, Erin Kruger McCash. She's
fucking awesome.
Department head on American Horror Stories. Just all kinds of things. She did Nip Tuck. She was on, she started, I believe, on, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, doing kind of like the,
She did the cat.
Yeah. No, she kind of started on the all of the like reveal kind of makeups and just like the little gags that they had in the show, and then went on to Nip Tuck, and then of course American Horror Story now, You know, and she's a great like example of like, you know, female department head where like all this crazy shit is just coming out of that department, and they've really you know, kind of inspired a lot of people. So hopefully more women will start kind of coming from, you know, seeing her. You know, because I know like V. Neal definitely like blew the doors wide open for her, and then Lois Burrell, and you know, just all kinds of people.
Yeah. I mean, I made a small list of people that I remember, like, let's see, Liz Mendoza. She did Cooties, Insidious, Annabelle. You've got, what's it, Anna Colley. He did the Exorcist show, the new Candyman. Let's see, Sarah Craig, Dawn of the Dead, Silent Hill, Urban Legends, and the new It, which Dave talked about before we actually started recording. But, like, and as far as what I've seen, and I follow a lot, it's, like, mostly social media, like, goddesses. They're fucking killing it, but they're only, I mean, I'm sure they're getting paid by, you know, hopefully advertisement, because they're getting like hundreds of thousands of followers and views, but there's not a lot of women in horror, and let alone, I mean, like, this is a female driven genre. Like, you go to see the movie to see the final girl. There's a couple of awesome final girl directors, filmmakers, but as far as special makeup effects, it's very, very, it's like, beep, and now the heartbeat is starting. So that's kick ass. And then we'll talk about people of color. Name one. Fuck, man. Exactly. What the? Jesus fucking Christ. That's fucking crazy.
Are you trying to make me feel awful for liking movie effects? Like, what
Not
are you
at all.
What are you doing?
I think that I just wanted to, at least for a minute, because obviously it's three dudes sitting around a fucking, you know,
There's four of us here today.
Yeah.
I don't exist.
Yes, you do. But Corey is our beautiful fourth in the corner. I know most of our heroes are going to be men. And straight men at that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's basically what's push day. If you ever look at anything like growing up, if you ever looked at any like behind the scenes of this movie, and it's like 90% of the time it was like Tom Savini,
right?
You know? Like in every one, it wasn't like, hey, here's this assistant that did a lot of the work, but it's me, the guy who did everything.
Yeah. You want to talk about something that's glaring, and a book came out about 2 years ago. Trevor, you actually sent me a link, or we talked about it before when I was invited you onto the show. Can you talk about that for a minute?
So it's called The Lady from the Black Lagoon. It's about Millicent Patrick, who she's actually really the creator of the Creature from the Black Lagoon makeup. She sculpted all of it.
The most amazing suit of all time.
Yeah, she
Holy
sculpted
fuck.
all of it. Like that was her. Like that wasn't Bud Westmore, who was the department head at Universal Studios at the time.
Bud.
Bud.
Bud is a chud. He's a fucking asshole.
But you know, she had, you know, done this incredible work, and Universal decided to send her out on a press tour to promote the film because, you know, she was gorgeous, and
of
she
course
created this monster, right? And he got wind of it, and he threw a shit fit because he didn't want a woman taking that credit for work that he didn't even do.
Right.
So, you know, they changed it, and like it turned into like, you know, the woman who like lives with the monsters, like not like they took away the fact that she had created it, and she even flew with it. She's like, all right, cool, whatever. But he was still just terrible.
Yeah. We should talk about Bud Westmore for a second. Bud Westmore he took over after Jack Pierce. Everyone knows Jack Pierce's makeups. It's like the Mummy. He's like the initial guy, the Frankenstein look, the Wolfman. I mean, goddamn, that took hours. And then Bud Westmore's company took over, and it's not just him. It's like he had like it's like a family. And every time you see a still, like in Famous Monsters of Filmland or anything, he would be him with a fucking like a freaking paintbrush going, I did this. Motherfucking Bud Westmore. That's
Just
my
after
rant.
the fact.
Yeah.
Sort of like everybody else's real boss.
Yeah.
You're like, look how well everything's running. I'm doing everything myself.
Yeah. Oh, like it's time to take some publicity stills of the makeup department, which was still rare even back then. And then he was like, oh, I'll be there. And he'll just step in and go, let me see that real quick. And take the picture. It's bullshit. So fuck Bud Westmore. But let's talk about the roots of makeup effects. Like the first makeup effects is 19th century. It's like in 1890 was Alfred Clark. So I found him. I call him the godfather of gore. He created the first beheading on film based on the Mary Queen of Scots execution, and it's called The Execution of Mary Stuart. He did the whole stop the film, put the dead body, or the dead body.
Yeah, could have been.
It could have been a snuff movie. Put the body in, roll the film, and then cut the head off. Like, that's the very first one that I could find myself.
And it's available on YouTube.
Holy shit. Thank you, Dave. Dave's fast with his fingers tonight. And then, of course, you've got Albin Grauff, who did Nosferatu, Lon Chaney, Willis O'Brien, holy shit, Jack Pierce, we just talked about. Louise Doan did. This is the one that blew me away. And I don't know if anybody else has even knew this. And she's the one that people remember because they don't remember. They should remember her effects because she did everything for Herschel Gordon Lewis. Blood Feast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Taste of Blood.
You got to
the Gore Girls.
You got to think a lot of those movies, those early movies that you were talking about, they were camera tricks. It wasn't as much special effects.
Yeah, it's not a big.
It was a camera trick.
Yeah.
It's like in Nosferatu, camera trick.
Camera trick. Well, that guy, Albin still came up with the finger extensions and then put the little bits of hair behind Max Schreck's thing. Those little things. Not gore effects yet. We're not there yet. It's like we beheaded somebody and then we took a break.
I think we
made some Wolfmans.
I think we were going through a world war at the time. People didn't want to see gore.
They got enough of that in the newspaper every day.
Yeah,
Which is
unlike
funny.
now where we want to see it.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. That's what Universal discovered is that they didn't put any money into their horror, but that's like the house of horror during the World War II.
Yeah.
And it saved Universal.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, there's one movie I ran across that this one said it was actually the first appearance of gore, which was after what you said earlier. Yeah, this came out. This was like 1916, which is the movie Intolerance by like D.W. Griffith, who's a Kentucky native, most known for directing Birth of a Nation, which is a completely different thing.
Oh,
you don't want to get into.
You want to talk about people of color?
Yeah, that's. Besides that, he did this movie called Intolerance, which I think is still in the AFI like top 100 movies of all time. But it features like a lot of 2 on-screen decapitations and a scene in which a spear is slowly driven through a soldier's naked abdomen as blood wells from the wound.
It's funny that guy would make a movie called Intolerance.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Let's see. I also have Joe Blasco on there. We can go through the history of horror, but I mean, let's talk about these guys that we all know. I've got the list on the whiteboard of doom. It's got Chaney. Come on. Lon Chaney. Jack Pierce. Louise Down. Dick Smith. I mean, let's just start there. That guy broke open the door.
It's incredible.
He is. I got Rick Baker, Joe Blasco. Joe Blasco got most famous because of the books that he wrote for young artists to find and be like. And he started with Cronenberg, like on Shivers, I think. Let's see. I got Rob Bottin, Chris Walas, Tom Savini, Steve Johnson, Greg Canham, John Carl Buechler. He fucking rules. Tom Sullivan, K&B, Kevin Yeager. Anybody want to talk about any of those guys? Please.
Well, I mean, Dick Smith. If you know who he is, Exorcist.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
Yeah. And that blew the doors off the entire world. Like the whole world, like the doors are gone.
Yeah. That was like a life-changing movie for many people, including one at this table right now.
Yeah. Still gives me chills to this day. But I mean, if you look at his credits, man, I mean, he did The House of Dark Shadows. Let's see, The Godfather.
Ghost Story was a big one for him.
Yeah.
And they cut his goddamn effects.
Deer Hunter, that had gore in it.
Yeah.
But you look at it, and like the biggest glaring one is obviously going to be The Exorcist.
It is The Exorcist. He became a huge consultant through the years.
He did.
Well, after abusing Linda Blair, I mean, cool. You can do whatever you want.
He blamed it on William Friedkin.
I mean, and just from like an industry standpoint, like he just created so many there were so many innovations that were born out of his brain.
Yeah.
For both the makeup effects industry and the film industry in general. Like, I mean, just I'm a god. He created
Made
so
pea
many
soup
things.
scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, a lot of it, if you look at it, it's having to be creative with what you have and having to make something work.
Yeah.
Somebody just comes to you and like, hey, I want this head to explode. And then it's the makeup effects artist to figure out how to do it and how to do it within the budget.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing that you said that because he was the consultant on Scanners to make that fucking effect happen that everyone remembers the guy's head blowing off.
I love that effect. That effect it's at the beginning of the movie.
I know.
Like you think that would be like, and like it's in the trailer to the movie. So like when you see that trailer to that, you're like, man, this is in the trailer. What the fuck is the rest of this movie like?
It climaxed pretty early.
Yeah, and that's a Chris Walas effect. And Chris Walas didn't get a whole lot of exposure, especially by nerds today. They don't really talk about. I mean, Gremlins, he designed and created Gremlins.
Yeah.
But he also did those early Cronenberg films. What's your are you a fan of Chris Walas films? I mean, obviously now that I'm talking about some of them,
I mean,
off the top of your head, like Scanners, Piranha, Up from the Depths, Humanoid from the Deep, Dragon Slayer.
Scanners was really the first.
Piranha.
So Trevor, you have no idea what we're doing, but please tell him.
The actual the correct way to pronounce piranha is piranha.
Whatever.
Just so everybody knows.
Our guest just walked out of the room.
Yeah, goodbye.
Now we can move forward.
Excuse me, sir.
No, but Scanners was like the first one for me because I saw that when I was like 7, I think, the first
Shoot.
time. In
7?
Yeah, I was like 7. Yeah. Thanks, Dad. But yeah, the head exploding. Holy shit! Like,
And they just shot the back of that fake head, right? It was
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
shotgun.
With a real shotgun.
yeah, like that's insane.
Sometimes you got to get creative, man.
I know. Nowadays they've just been like, it's done.
Yeah.
Like click on the computer.
Yeah, we can definitely touch upon that later with how visual effects affected the practical effect.
I think a lot of people, when you think of horror effects, a lot of it comes from the 70s and 80s. That's what most people think is like the heyday of horror effects because it was, like I said, it was people doing creative things with next to nothing. And you think about like movies like American Werewolf in London.
Yeah, you have to.
Like that fucking transformation scene. The first time you see it, it blows your mind.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a 90-year-old man watching it or you're way too young, like 7, watching it.
Well, in the transformation scene for American Werewolf in London, that was actually almost ended up in The Howling.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Crazy.
We go back and forth on that
I
between
couldn't
my
imagine.
ex-co-host and I. He's like American Werewolf in London, and I'm a big Howling fan.
American Werewolf in London.
Fuck, you're back.
100%.
Why did I just
100%.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
I mean, I love Rob Bottin, but like 100%.
You wouldn't have it without that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my favorite story from American Werewolf in London was where Rick Baker was in the field where he was attacking David with the head of the puppet.
Oh yes, I love
I
this
don't know if
story.
you've ever heard this story, but he tells it all the time. Like basically, and it was on the DVD, I believe. So he's just got this big werewolf puppet head, and he's just bashing him with it, right? And then David Naughton, or it was Griffin Dunn.
Yeah, it was Griffin Dunn.
Griffin Dunn. He reached up and he grabbed it and ripped some of the face off of the puppet. So now they're in the fucking middle of the night. It's cold. They're losing their shot,
Yeah.
and he's got to fucking fix it real quick. So he gets it back together and then just beats the holy hell out of him with this prosthetic head.
Yeah, and that prosthetic is like a big scissor, like monster head. And he's just going, motherfucker!
I'm sure
Mess up my puppet.
I'm sure you could. Have you ever had? If you had like an actor or somebody just fuck up something that you spent hours on?
Yeah.
You can tell us.
Yeah,
You don't have to say names.
No comment. No
God
comment.
damn it!
No, I've had plenty of things.
Well, give us
plenty
an
of things
example
get messed
of
up.
something that you don't have to name names. I won't name anybody's name.
Oh man, I mean, like blood rigs, those sorts of things. Where you're like, don't move, don't twist this way.
Yeah.
You don't jump up and down and run around the fucking block with, this, like it's rigged. You don't need to go lay down. You don't need to go out on the porch and take a photo for Instagram. And yeah, you get on set, and one in particular, it was, this scene where all this blood was shooting out of this guy's chest, and everything was rigged up, ready to go. Didn't know, I checked it before we shot. Everything was fine. 5 minutes pass. He had been rolling around or whatever. I didn't see it. Hook up my fire extinguisher to this guy. Nothing.
Oh no!
Okay, what's going on? And I look at the back of him, and he's just covered in blood. Just the back of it. I was like, he's like, well, I had to it was like pulling and I had to readjust. I'm like, let me know. Don't just take it upon yourself. You can't see it. You don't know how it works.
Yeah.
Leave it alone. Let me know, But yeah, I mean, there's always something, it happens on every shoot. There's something that you have to fix, and it's just being able to think on your feet.
Yeah, but I think that's why I really respect FX artists, because it's quick thinking to get it done right then and there. You have to be in that profession. You have to be able to think on your feet. You have to be able to use what's in front of you. It's like Bear Grylls, surviving.
Well, Tom Savini always tells the story of him, the suitcase going around being a serial killer. It's how he looked at himself. He's like, I'm a killer. I get hired to travel around the country, travel around the globe sometimes, and I just got my suitcase. of death.
Well, that crazy
Yeah.
motherfucker. It's just like in Maniac, the scene where they where he walks up and shoots the guy in the car, right?
Yeah, that's his head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's his head. He shot it, and they didn't have a permit for that either, so they just set the fucking car on fire and left.
I didn't know that part. Holy shit. Evidence later. It's on the news and they're all cackling. Joe Spinell's going, we did that. And I believe Tom Savini is the one who pulls the trigger on his own
Yes.
head. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's fucked.
I can't imagine they're giving the gun to Joe Spinell, no matter how low budget Maniac was. And those effects were fucking amazing.
I think they took the dummy from that. It was used on Dawn of the Dead also, and then I think after that it was so caked in blood that they just retired it because it was just done at that point.
Yeah. What does your studio look like when it comes to when you go home? Is your studio at home or is it in the basement? Is it some dungeon somewhere?
It's at home. It's in the basement.
Jesus, it's the same thing. It's a fucking
It's
dungeon.
in the basement.
Describe your studio.
Oh my god, it's not pretty. I will tell you that it is not pretty. Lots of mold making, so there's a lot of stone, just residue on everything. I'd like to have something like super pretty, and it's like these blah 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 but usually no, it's stone. There's paint everywhere. Whatever project I'm working on at the time. There's just like a trail of like right now there's buckets of, stone residue where, I just had to ship a bunch of masks out. So there's buckets of stone residue. There's dead pulls of masks that, maybe there was an air pocket or something.
Oh, no.
So there's a whole bucket of that because you never know. Right. And just general,
Organized chaos.
dust and whatnot.
Not even organized.
I don't know
Not
about
even
organized.
organized.
Right now,
Just
not
chaos.
organized. I'm I'm prepping for a show right now, and I just had a show that I built a bunch of stuff for. So it's kind of crazy right now.
Okay, think about this. Think about you don't know. You're going to hang out with Trevor and you're walking down in his basement and then you see Polaroids. It becomes the BTK killer. It's like, wait, what are these?
Which Polaroids?
I know.
There's just an 8mm film running in the basement.
Oh no! And then you open the door. He's like, "Hey, you want to check out my cool shit?" No, I don't.
Just snuff films on a continuous loop.
Holy shit! Yeah, well, don't invite Charlie Sheen to your fucking house. You'll get the cops called on you.
Fucking research, I guess.
God damn it!
Well, let's talk about some of these other ones. So, who's your favorite, Steve?
My God, I knew you were. I thought you were gonna do this at the end.
Well, I'm doing this earlier because
Okay.
I can.
Okay. Okay. I put up a lot of people that I love, but don't even think about when I watch the movies so much. But like when I watch the Friday the 13th movie, I think about Tom Savini if it's part one, or the company that goes after that is like so many. Kevin Yeager he should have got more props for Friday the 13th Part 4. He's one of my favorite effects makeup artists. He came along with Tom Savini, and he should be credited more. He's the one who he's the one who sculpted the head of Jason, getting the machete in the side of the head and sliding down the blade.
That's great. Yeah.
Isn't that
I love
fucking great?
That's brutal, and that.
He did one of our favorite heavy metal horror films. He did The Demon. He's the guy that Sammy Kerr comes out of the speaker and grabs the face.
Oh,
That's Kevin Yeager.
Yeah,
Because he
that's
did
great.
all the effects for Trick or Treat. Let alone he created the after the first Nightmare on Elm Street, he took over for Freddy Krueger. So Kevin Yeager, Child's Play, he had to create one of the first full-size animatronic puppets that was going to have to be used in almost every scene of the film. So I would say Kevin Yeager is my favorite special makeup effects artist of the 80s. He fucking blows my mind every time I think about his stuff. You want to talk about Shocker? He worked on that,
Dude, I love animated lightning in a movie.
Trevor? You don't even have to look at my list. I mean, who?
You say anybody.
Yeah.
It changes. It really
Right.
changes. Of course, Dick Smith, Rick
Yeah.
Baker. Those are your, they are your legends for a reason. Savini has a special place in my heart. Obviously, I went to a school. He was one of the first artists that I was exposed to as a kid.
Yeah.
He was like that moment of realization, oh, this is a job. So it changes, but definitely, Dick Smith, Rick Baker, for good reason, and it's not even necessarily splatter. I like a lot of I like realism, and Dick Smith was the master of
Yeah.
realism. So
The
that's
shit-
kind of it for me.
What's the he designed, like, what was it, the Dustin Hoffman old man makeup for was it Little Big Horn or whatever the fuck the movie's
Mhm.
called? I can't think of it. Which was the inspiration for Tom Savini when he did the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. Because he used that, and of course he's a friend of Dick Smith, and if you look at those makeups side by side, you can definitely see the influence.
Yeah.
So what? Okay, if you had to pick out of any of those movies or gods of gore, what movie? And let's talk about splatter, man.
Oh, okay.
Putting you on the spot.
Oh, man.
Welcome to Gore Club
Man,
Podcast.
Oh, man, oh, man. I mean, if we're
Dave
talking about
does it
like,
to all of
if we're
us.
talking about like like splatter, really, I mean, Dead Alive.
Yeah,
That's a big one. And Evil Dead 2, Army of
Tom
Darkness.
Sullivan.
Like, yeah, I mean, just incredible, like, incredible effects work.
Yeah, Tom Sullivan blew me away. I was gonna actually put him. He's on the list over there. But when I saw The Evil Dead as a kid, that whole, I mean, the movie is just full of fucking wackadoo shit. But it's the end scene where it's like stop motion and like all the skulls and everybody turns into mush and like oatmeal with bugs.
It's like the cream corn starts coming out of it.
Right. That fucked me up.
I rented that when I was a kid, or not a kid. I was probably 15, 16.
Yeah.
Me and my buddy rented it because basically it had that famous line on the front where it's like Stephen King was like, the new face of,
There's a movie poster behind Dave.
Yeah. But we rented that. I was like, oh, this has got to be good. And then we got to the end of it when everybody starts like the cream corn's coming out and like the face comes down and all the skin's flying off of it. And like my buddy just like threw up in the trash can.
Oh my
God. Like he was so grossed out.
Oh my
about
God.
that. And like looking back, I was like, man, it's not even really that bad. But he was like, I guess we just ate something. Or we was in the room and he was just like, bleh.
Just had some shrooms.
Well, think about that scene. She comes flying down, Cheryl, who actually signed my poster behind Dave's head. She comes and her head explodes all over Ash.
Yeah.
And then you have the whole end scene where everybody's just like, and those ridiculous. I mean, you look back now, it looks kind of ridiculous, but like at the time, it blew my mind. Like those massive monster hands that come out of everybody, and it's like,
They look a little ridiculous now, but it's okay.
I don't care. I love it.
That's the problem. That's the problem with 4K.
Yeah, it kind of ruined it.
It makes
Yeah.
it too clean. Like that's why when like The Thing came out, which is a great movie with great special effects.
Yeah.
I don't need to see it crystal clear. They
No.
did not intend for that,
No.
and that I think is a big problem.
What's yours, Dave?
Favorite? Rabutin.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I knew you were gonna say like The Thing. That movie, The Thing. I
The
mean,
Thing.
he did-
RoboCop.
Yeah, Robotine. He rules.
Yeah, he does
Shooting dicks off, man.
shooting dicks off. I mean, he's got some great movies to his credit, but I mean there are not only people that we love, but scenes that we love, like you were talking about, and this one isn't even that old. Hatchet,
Oh yeah.
the fucking scene where the guy's head gets ripped in half, and the camera spins around. That's amazing.
It's like a Matrix shot.
I remember the first time I saw that, I was just like, "Holy shit, that was awesome!"
Yeah.
I was at home clapping by myself. Bravo.
Yeah, Adam Green. He'll be actually in town. By the time you listen to this, it'll be we've already hung out with the guy. But Horror Hound Weekend is coming up this weekend, and I know a few of us are actually going. Trevor, you gonna be able to make it out?
I'm gonna try to make it out on
Yeah,
Saturday.
yeah. Adam Green's making an appearance. It's gonna be awesome.
He's getting an award Friday night.
Oh, that's right. The is it the new Icon Awards? I don't remember them having the before.
It's a prestigious award.
Oh God, it's a major award. Well, it reminds me of the Rondos. Rondos have been around for a long time. If you're a deep horror nerd, deep balls deep, you know what a Rondo is. And Rondos originated here in Louisville, Kentucky.
Did they?
The more you know. Ding,
Yeah.
ding.
Yeah, baby. The award show is the weekend. I'm going to do a little selfless plug. We're bringing Frank Dietz to town. He'll be in town for Wonderfest, and we're doing Black Roses live, and he's going to do a live commentary
Hell yeah.
with the nerds of Gore Club Podcast.
That's gonna be
and and Frank Dietz is a star. Well, he's a star in Zombie Nightmare, Black Roses, Rock and Roll Nightmare, and what were we just talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to be fucking great. It's going to be a good weekend. So Wonderfest is the place that they do the Rondo Awards at.
Yes.
Yeah, Joe Bob Briggs wants one so bad. He's been lobbying for years.
He doesn't have one yet.
No, he does not. Yeah,
He must have pissed
it's
somebody
a,
off.
major award.
Exactly.
Very prestigious.
exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know, but other movies you think of like The Blob.
The original or the remake?
The remake.
Yeah.
Dude, that remake,
Lots of cool effects. And
solid.
and
Yeah.
I don't know who the special effects artist is on that because there's a little it's up in the air. I guess I don't know. There's
What?
I don't know, man. There's a lot of people listed, but
Who made Silicon?
they all did a great
Look it
job.
up. Somebody look it up. We've got time.
It still holds up. You watch that now, like it looks better than if
watch
they
it.
made a Blob remake now.
I watched it.
It
I
looks
watched it not
great.
too long ago, man. It was great.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I bought the new Blu-ray that came out of it. Because I actually bought the Criterion of the original Blob, which had amazing effects
Yeah.
for its time. And that's all silicone for
Yeah.
the original one.
There's like the hospital scene when
The
like
doctor?
really, like it's just like it's amazing. to
It is
watch,
amazing.
look at
Well,
that.
this says it was the film special effects in the film were handled by Tony Gardner. Gardner was originally supposed to provide only a few small effects, with special effects artist Lyle Conway only originally being in charge of the effects. And then it goes on to, however, they ran a crew of 33 people. So I'm saying that was a great group effort, and they should feel happy for themselves because they didn't get fucked by somebody taking all their credit.
Yeah, they weren't women or black.
Yeah.
Tony Gardner, most famously, he got his start in Return of the Living Dead. He created the half zombie woman.
He did.
Yeah.
They didn't get Bud Westmore.
And he got that job by making Scuzz's teeth for Brian Peck, the pedophile that's in the movie now. That everybody knows is a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Mohawk Scuzz, which is my favorite character. He did his teeth as a cool thing to do to make him look different. And they're like, who the fuck did those? And he got a job. Hell yeah.
Sometimes it's all it takes, man. Like I said, it's all about creativity.
Yeah,
It's all about it.
And living in LA.
You'll
Yeah.
you'll agree with me.
That's a biggie.
And now I saw in your credits, you said Mom and Dad. You worked on that, the movie that was shot here.
Yeah, I was there for a few days.
The Nicolas
few days.
Cage.
It wasn't
Nick
anything
Cage.
serious. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was there for a few days. I think that was like the second movie that I did.
Did you
know,
touch
so-
the cage?
Did you get to look him in the eye?
No.
No and
Bullshit.
No.
That's-
Oh man.
All right,
No,
well,
yeah.
I'm done here.
Yeah.
I just wanted to talk about Nick Cage some more.
Goodbye.
Well, it was nice having you.
But that's the thing, like I said, it is also effects that you really love, Steve,
Yeah, there are. There are so many, and
because they really make the movies too.
they do.
Memorable parts.
I've got John Carl Beekler up there. Rest in Pictures, baby. I love you so much. And we've talked about him on the show many times. His big breakout somehow came like almost a decade after his work and when he started, which was Friday the 13th, Part 7. Everyone remembers the way Jason looked, and he directed that movie. But he did like Ghoulies and Trancers and Reanimator and From Beyond. Like, he was a Charles Band makeup effects guy. Ghoulies go to college, motherfucker.
I was going to say the same thing.
This is off the top of my head, but I know I think I made some notes somewhere. Dungeon Master. Dungeon Master is one of those unsung early Empire films that I love, and he had a style like everybody looks like the Ghoulies, like Cellar Dweller. They all just have this certain style of look. And if you look at Jason, regardless of how much money he had, he still has that weird John Carl Beekler sort of look. We haven't even talked about K&B yet.
Well, let's talk about it, Steve.
Let's talk about it. Trevor. When did you first discover K&B?
Oh man.
I like you're like fuck.
Oh fuck.
Stop talking to me.
No. Oh man. Ugh. They were a little bit later down the road for me, like kind of teenage years. I was probably like 15 or 16.
Yeah.
When I like really first like learned about them and kind of how prolific that shop was.
Yeah.
And it is. But yeah, it was probably. I forgot what the first film that I saw that they had worked on was.
Well, together that I remember, they weren't even K&B. It was Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of when they formed, I believe.
Yeah.
Because they were both working. I forgot who they were working for.
Oh, for Evil Dead 2?
Yeah, no, they were working together, or they had worked on a film together, and then Nicotero was in Pittsburgh working for Savini.
Yeah, Day of the Dead.
Yes,
That was his
yeah.
big one, yeah.
And then Berger had flown out there for I can't recall what, but basically he told him, he's like, let's move to LA, let's open a shop, we'll get a house, blah blah blah. And then they opened, and it was Evil Dead 2 that they were just that they kind of made all this shit happen, and then they're like, oh okay, well we can do this, like let's keep going.
They're the Justice League of special effects artists.
Yeah. I've met Greg many times, and he's actually going to be in town for Wonderfest as well. And I can't wait to actually hang out with him some more. And goddamn, I hate to think of some of the memories I've had with that guy because I was a drunk asshole. I wasn't an asshole, but I called myself an asshole. I was like just a slobbering fanboy. But he talked about, and I know there's interviews with him talking about trying to get Savini to leave. He's like, man, come on, man. This is where it's at. And Tom's like, no, Pittsburgh's my home. This is where I'm going to base my stuff out. And then he ended up becoming more of an actor and a teacher.
Yeah.
And then look where Greg's at now. I mean, directing, basically creating the Creep Show television show. He's the producer. He's one of the main directors. He's
Walking Dead.
Yeah, Walking Dead. Who directed? Who's the very first guy for Walking Dead? Yeah, when Frank walked away from the show, Greg took up the mantle and he was like, "Well, let's fucking do this."
We talked about that at the when I saw him last at Wonderfest, and we talked about it because I was like, I sort of stopped watching, and I'm a bad fan. It's very hard to watch emotionally. It's taxing.
Yeah.
And we talked about it. He's like, well, you going to watch it? And I was like, I'll watch it eventually. So I've got to watch it, the rest of it, before I see him this next time. Be like, I watched it, Greg. And I can be like, I was upset or it was great. I don't know. But I did call him out because he was giving autographs out, right? And he had a picture of him surrounded by the zombies. It's the same picture, the George Romero picture.
Oh, yeah.
Used to have.
It's like an homage.
Above.
And I said, I'll take the George Romero one. And he said, good eye,
Hell yeah. I mean, he knows he can smell a nerd. We smell our own.
Oh yeah. I got a nice Creep Show crew shirt then, but it's way too big.
Oh man, yeah. I wish I still had my George Romero when he came back. Because, he took a long time off. He did the Resident Evil commercial for the video game for Resident Evil 2. And then they were going to give him a budget and start letting him do like the Mummy. And then he just disappeared again. And then when he came back, he just did Bruiser. Jesus fucking Christ. But
he was really excited about it.
He was really excited about it. But he had all this really cool merch and it just said, "Stay scared." And it was like, I got a hat from him. And it was like his own merch, George Romero merch. And I wish I still fucking had that hat. I wore it to work and it just fell apart. Fuck me.
Bruiser.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Let's talk about let's go down the line here. Robotine we just did. I mean, that is that scene that no one will ever forget. And then of course you have actually Stan Winston in that movie who he had to take up because I think Robotine had to go to the hospital. He almost fucking died.
Yeah.
What's your favorite
God, Stan Winston is one though.
Yeah.
I mean, there's too many. I can't say I have a favorite. Like I have people who you did my favorite thing. Right?
Yeah.
Like you did this, you did that. But I couldn't pick a favorite.
Well, I didn't even put him up there because it's like that. He's done it all. And he was in that perfect time and place because he was working for a special makeup effects guy, James Cameron, when he got hired for the Terminator, and it was just like. Now he doesn't have to rely on monster movies and blood effects. He got to do the dream.
Yeah, I mean, because I feel like he really just kind of falls into a club of his own.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't strictly makeup effects, and he wasn't just not visual effects, but like a practical effects guy. Like there was a nice. He did everything. He did absolutely everything. Yeah. And he's just in his own club over here, and then you've got everyone else over here, but. I mean, he was just
the Winston.
Yeah, it seems like you remember the people that do the things that stick with you. But one that we should probably talk about, Ray Harryhausen.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like gore effects, but still, you remember Jason the Argonauts. You remember those movies. You remember
Clash of the Titans.
Clash of the Titans.
That was his last film, and it blew me away. And plus, it had boobs in it.
Yeah. So I'm
all about it.
That's what Steve took from that movie.
Calabas and boobs. That should be a fucking T-shirt.
Yeah. Well, I think there's something interesting. Speaking of Ray Harryhausen, which reminded me of when they were originally doing Jurassic Park. I think they were going to do stop motion dinosaurs before the guy who stepped in was like, "Well, I did this thing on the computer. You want to look at this?" But they had done a bunch of stuff, and I cannot remember the guy's name, but he was kind of one of the last of the stop motion guys.
Well, yeah, he did. He worked on Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Goddamn, what's his name, everybody? Somebody do this. He directed, I thought he did, the Indian of the Cupboard. I can't, goddamn, fuck.
It was right. It was they interviewed him, and it was basically they interviewed him, and they had the guy who did the CGI T-Rex.
Yeah.
And he was just kind of you could tell he was like, "God damn it, man, I'm over. We're done."
Yeah.
he just realized it.
He got to start with ILM and worked on, Star Wars.
Yeah.
And that started his career, which, by the way, Rick Baker did all those masks
Yeah.
that you see in the cantina scene.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they don't move. They look very dated now, but
Yeah.
that was demon masks and werewolf masks because he was like, fuck it, we got to fill this void.
Yeah.
That's Rick Baker, man.
All right, so Phil Tippett.
There you go.
That was the guy.
Yes.
So I think he actually stepped in and helped him do some of the motion capture stuff with the computer graphics after that. So
Yeah.
he still was around. He wasn't just like, well, your time is out here, old man. We're done with you.
He made
Computer's
himself
the
relevant.
future.
He did
Yeah.
the Tauntaun and
Yeah. He made himself relevant in a time when he knew his artwork was going, his art was going down. How do you feel about that? You're right in the middle of that growing up.
What in terms
When
of
when CG and
CG,
like it's
oh.
just taking over.
I mean, I feel like CG, like right now, we're getting a nice a nice marriage of like practical and CG.
It has gotten a lot better.
It's gotten so much better.
Yeah.
Thank you, Guillermo del Toro.
There for a while though, you had like that just like hardcore only CG, and
I watched Blade the other day.
it's
Slade 2 is amazing.
but it's so dated.
It's a great movie, but man,
so dated.
that blood hurricane.
Oh, the end of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because like you can watch like a mostly practical like Jurassic Park. It still looks good. It
Yeah.
looks like it could have been made yesterday to an extent. But then you have something like Blade, or like with that where it was just like nothing but CG. And
Most
it
of the
just,
stuff from the late '90s into the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
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 American
And I mean,
Werewolf in
it
Paris.
looked old 2 years after its release.
Go back and watch Thor. You'll make your fucking cry, dude. That CG looks bad.
Yeah,
I hate seeing CG blood in movies. Like, you just make the fucking blood.
it's terrible.
Like, it's just like it's so obvious that it's just fake CGI blood
Yeah.
coming out of
Unless
people.
it's like a 3D movie, like I don't know, My Bloody Valentine 3D, where it needs to come at you. Like
Yeah,
I
something like
watched a
that.
3D movie just recently. Was it Final Destination? And the blood is CG, but that's different.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like they would do it, you'd seem like somebody got their throat slashed, and it's just like CGI blood. Like,
Yeah.
instead
And I mean,
of-
at the same time, like if you need CGI, like if you decide you need more blood in the edit,
yeah, you could
shoot a
mix it.
plate.
Yeah.
Shoot a fucking plate.
Yeah.
Dump some blood. Squirt some blood. Do that. Put
Yeah.
that in your movie. Don't just and here's my blood. Like no.
What was the scene? Like we're talking about scenes. What was the scene that got you thinking, I want to do that? Because we all say that, but you actually went you and Corey both, by the way, went to that level of like, you know what? I'm going to do that for a living.
I mean, it sounds like it was Dawn of
Corey's
the
our
Dead.
producer, by the way, if you forgot.
Yeah, I mean, it was the original Dawn of the Dead for me.
No shit.
That was it. I mean, because like that was the moment where it was like, oh, this is a job. That's pretty cool. Like
Yeah.
I mean, I think I was like 11 when I first like watched the credits. I had seen it multiple times before then, but like when I first like watched the credits, and I was like, who the hell is Tom Savini? And then I was flipping through Fangoria a couple months later, and there was an ad and I was like, oh shit, this is a thing. Like so then I kind of started delving into it, and I was like, this has been a thing for a long time. This is fucking cool.
And then you told your parents, "I'm gonna go do makeup."
I actually did. Yeah, I told him because I had taken a hard stance against college from like the age of 9.
Look at
right?
you.
I was like, not happening.
I mean, you'd already seen
Yeah.
Scanners. Who
I was
cares?
like, not happening. I'm gonna be a bookie. Like it's done. And I told him, I was like, I'm gonna go to the school. I'm gonna do this. And they're like, oh, okay, all right, cool, yeah, do your thing.
They were supportive, or they were just like, yeah, whatever. You'll come crawling back.
It was fiend, like
Yeah.
fiend support, but yeah, I mean, and then eventually, I was like, I'm gonna do it, and they're like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Like,
Have you seen Dawn of the Dead,
Yeah, like
Mom?
I hit that age where I was like, like teenager, like when I, 17, 18, I was like, I'm gonna be a mortician, and
think
then,
we've all done that too.
Yeah. And then it became, no, I'm gonna go to school to make people look like they're dead, or to like create monsters and whatnot. And they're like, well, do you think that's feasible? And it's understandable because like it's a hard field. It's basically like you're choosing to be perpetually unemployed. So I understood the concern. I really understood the concern, but I mean, they've been incredibly supportive. Like, I mean, they were and still are. But yeah, that was an interesting conversation to have. Like, I'm gonna go do this.
I think the first time that you and I met, I believe, was at Mask Fest. And now I could be completely wrong, but my memory sucks because I'm old. But I didn't even know that you lived in Louisville and even knew any of my friends because you weren't even working at one of the best, by the way, Halloween costume shops in the world, which is Caulfield's Novelty here in Louisville, Kentucky. But we met. You were selling masks,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know why I struck up a conversation with you. I have no idea. And you might. I think at the time you only had like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
This was years ago.
Oh, that was a rough show. That was 2015.
Was it? Okay, god damn it.
2015,
I'm glad
yeah.
people remember dates because I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm still 20.
Yeah. There you go.
But I remember, maybe that's what it was. I was like, oh man, this guy's just starting out. But you weren't really starting. You had already graduated by then, right?
I had graduated.
Okay.
I had started making masks 3 months before that show.
Holy fuck.
And
I mean, you're in
Oh
a
my
row with
God.
Tom Savini and fucking.
that's why I remember the
Justin
date.
Mabry
Yeah,
was
that's
down
why I
like, around
remember
the corner.
date because it was so traumatizing.
Holy
So,
shit.
right across, right across the aisle from Pache.
Yeah.
Next to me, I have this like insanely talented artist, and then again like Justin Mabry after him,
Yeah.
and then Savini, and then V. Neal was there that year, and then
Holy
Howard
shit.
Berger, and I'm just over here at the end like, hey guys.
I think that's what it was. I was just like, man, who's this fucking kid? This is badass, dude. You're in a row full of gods, and no offense, but I've never heard of you.
Oh my
And I
God.
wish I could remember our conversation. By the way, people who like in Poland and Peru and Sweden who just picked us up, by the way, Mask Fest is a small part of the Horror Hound convention that happens like once a year. They only do Mask Fest
once a
effect.
year.
Yeah, and that's when I first mentioned. That's fucking cool. It's a weird memory that just popped in my head.
Yeah.
Memories.
It was it was traumatizing.
The only thing I
that
don't like
first
about
year.
only thing I don't like about Mask Fest is if you don't go Friday and get in immediately,
You're done.
yeah, you're half the stuff.
It'll just say sold, sold,
Well,
sold,
some
sold.
Of them, yeah, some of them that people do that more now, where they're like, you can pick it up after the weekend.
Yeah.
But like, first couple of years, I would go in there and just be like, well, there's nothing here. Then that's you just sold everything. Awesome.
Yeah, that year, I think it was that year. I actually went just to meet Justin Mabry and buy a Thrasher mask. It's a Michael Myers mask. It's one of his. I don't think he even still makes those masks, but I knew he was going to be there, and I beelined to him, and I was like, for one, I get to meet Justin Mabry, and two, he was like, well, yeah, which one do you want? I've got 3 different versions. I'm like, I totally want to blow you and take that mask home. It was fucking amazing.
You're like, can I blow you with the mask on?
Get out of my head, Dave. Well, it's not okay. So we're talking about scenes. Ace, what the fuck? Where you at? What's your favorite movie scene?
My favorite movie.
Make effects. It's your. Give you an hour. Go ahead.
I'll tell you what.
Irreversible.
I'm gonna go.
God damn it, Dave!
Hey, it was a brutal scene. I didn't even have to say what it was. You knew what I was talking about just by saying the name of the movie.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
Fire
I can't
extinguisher.
watch that movie anymore.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go like just something awful, which is Street Trash. I love the effects in that movie.
Yeah.
and it's like such a low budget movie.
Is it the toilet scene?
The toilet scene. The
Every
guy,
movie,
every scene in that movie, like the guy who's like just up against the wall and he like gets all big and just explodes.
Yeah.
There's like the fucking goes through that guy's head and like blows his dick off, and then you see the dick flying in the background. Like that whole movie, like just all the fact that they didn't even like make the blood like red, it's all like green and purple.
Somebody made that dick.
like it's so good.
You think about that. Somebody took a lot of time and care and be like, this is going to be on screen. I got to make this perfect.
Who was the makeup effects artist on that film? Because the guy who made that film actually got his start making a documentary about Dawn of the Dead. Did you all know that?
Did not know that.
Yeah, it's great.
Did not know
It's Ray Funk is the guy who directed the movie, but he did. It's I can't remember what it's called, but it's narrated by a female, and he goes. It's like him walking around the mall with George Romero while they're filming the movie,
Yeah.
like during a break time, and he's just like, "Hey, how's it going, George? Let's talk." And it's an entire documentary that came out. Diary of the Dead is what it's called. It just
Okay.
popped in my head.
Yeah.
So he directed that, and then years later, I didn't think about that guy again. Then Street Trash, bam, same guy.
Apparently, the only sponsor they could get for the movie was Drake's Cakes, and that they had so many of them that by the time they got to the big, like what they describe as the fat bum who explodes in the movie, they just stuffed all those Drake's Cakes inside of that like body, and then it just exploded all over the fucking set.
Well, one of the special effects makeup artists on Street Trash was Jennifer Aspinall.
Nice.
So,
Which is why I picked that movie, because a woman worked on it.
You're great.
so we're awful.
Yeah.
We didn't know that.
Well, no.
And she's still making movies. She did makeup for Captain Marvel.
That's cool though.
So that's that. And Westworld, man, she's got some good credits on her.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad all the time when I'm trying to when we do homework for these podcasts because I'm like, God, what the hell? I didn't know there was a black director who did this. Like, I mean, the new Candyman movie is fucking amazing. I don't care. I love it.
I'm so bad with names. Like, if it's not like Tom Savini or somebody, I'm just like completely forget who the person was who did it.
I mean, we talked about Slumber Party Massacre, like all these films that are directed by females. Like, everyone always goes to Catherine Bigelow. Yes, Near Dark fucking rules.
Yeah.
But there's a whole bunch of women out there that need to be propped up. So, and people of color and gay people.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, man. It's crazy. Do you talk about your sexuality? I can edit this out, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Being a gay special makeup effects artist, has that ever affected you?
Believe it or not, no.
That's
no.
fucking
I've
awesome.
I've gotten more respect for it. I believe, at the end of the day, like, because I mean, I've had other effects artists, like more seasoned artists. I mean, one in particular, gentleman named Vincent Guastini.
Yeah.
He told me that once. He goes, "We need more." And I was department heading this movie, like I was just like straight makeup department head. And he was doing all the effects for the film, creature suits and all kinds of cool shit. And he told me that. He goes, and I don't think he knew at the time that I did makeup effects, like in addition to straight makeup. And he told me, he goes, and he's got like this really thick, like, Jersey accent. He goes, we need more gays doing makeup effects. I was like, well, hi, how are you? Yeah, how you doing?
Right. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but we didn't even talk about that before we started rolling. I was like, that shouldn't be a selling point, but it should be it should be celebrated.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think it's been much of a selling point, but I think it does.
Well, that guy thinks it is.
Make people more comfortable in certain situations. Like I can do prosthetics, like full body prosthetics on, females, and they're like usually pretty okay with it. So
I totally didn't think about that.
Really, I mean, I think it kind of
on
helps put people at ease in certain situations. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's not really had much of an effect because,
that's how it should be.
Yeah.
I
mean, and I'm thankful. Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to get hired because I'm the gay guy. I mean, I know I have been before, but like, I also don't want to lose out on a job because of that. And I really can't say that I've been affected by that.
Okay.
Which I'm thankful for.
Yeah, those are the things I think about whenever I was like, oh, it's a female black director, and she's like, motherfucker, I make movies.
Mm-hmm.
So, but some people are like, no, you need to be the poster person, and that's a whole conversation.
It is.
And I had that conversation with a lot of my friends before, and not just you, but like, I'm just like, yeah, that needs to be talked about. But
sure.
You don't hear like, oh, director Steve Vessel, white dude. Like that's not a thing. I don't know.
Straight white male.
Yeah.
Tell us about the struggles of the straight white male.
The white cis male over here just struggling away. God damn it. Okay, well, cool. I mean, are there any actually out special makeup effects artists that you know of that work that maybe we don't?
There are, yeah. There's a lot of current, makeup effects artists that are out, and very, very out and proud, and doing a lot of really great things. There's also, I mean, one openly transgender, special makeup effects artist.
Yeah,
and he's an incredible artist. We've been friends for years. He recently came out as transgender, I've always known him as, Ricky Vitus, great, phenomenal artist. And yeah, so I feel like he's really trailblazing for that community.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I would say too, with the popularity of Dragula,
I was gonna say, man.
And I mean,
I hope somebody was gonna read that.
See what the Boulay brothers do. See what all the contestants do. Like this last season was the first time I've actually watched it, and every week I was like, holy fuck, this is
you're
awesome.
In for a treat, baby.
Yeah, they're putting the other seasons up on Shudder this month, so I'm pretty excited about it. Yeah. But it's just the amount of makeup and effects that go into their costumes. Like the winners, I'm just like, I don't know who I want to win. Just all of you win.
Yeah, please. The Boulay Brothers kick ass. Their comic book was so graphic and fucked up. I loved it.
They had a heavy metal magazine.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Okay,
yeah. It's so fucking good.
Yeah. But that is part of part of that culture, and then in drag queens. Yeah, I'm just saying, like,
oh yeah,
you know, there's a lot of makeup that goes into that. Like, I know a few drag queens, and it's an art form. It's just like, you know, special effects makeup.
Yeah.
Especially on their show. I hope some of those people go on, because I know I've seen the interviews we've all, if you watch that show, they're like, you know, I started out, you know, as a kid, not only am I scared in my basement because I'm either gay or trans or whatever, and then I'm also makeup effects. So like, you're having to go even the further and further just to push yourself. It's like, that's inspiring.
Yeah.
And I'm in the basement with, you know, you guys.
Being inspired.
I'm inspired by nothing.
But again, you know, that's, you know, it's an effects driven show.
Yeah,
Like,
it's badass.
it's really good, and I was glad. I'm Team Dolly. I'm glad Dolly won.
Oh, which season is that?
That was the last one.
Oh, okay.
It's been out for a while. If you haven't seen it, sorry.
No, I have. I think I've seen all of them. I think.
I need to watch it. Me and my wife we're still on the RuPaul's Drag Race. So
Yeah.
Oh, I ruined it for you.
We need to get on the Boulay Brothers.
Were they on Joe Bob recently? Or?
Yes, they
Oh
were.
yeah.
They did the last drive-in, and they showed they showed Black Roses.
Yeah.
And, what was the other one? I don't even remember what the other one
Yeah.
was. I'd been drinking. I don't know. I was just like, Rachel's never seen Black Roses, and I'm just over here singing "Me Against the World." She's like, "Would you shut up?" No.
So who's your favorite makeup effects artist there, Ace?
Yeah, Ace.
You see the
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
You said Street Trash is one of your favorites.
Well, yeah, Street Trash is my favorite. I always, I'll just be like, I'm basic. I like Tom Savini because, like, he was probably like the first, like I said earlier, he's like the first like effects person that I even knew about.
Yeah.
That
I
even
think
that
it
he
was
had a
for a lot
face
of
out
people,
there.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think it was for a lot of people.
He was out there, and then he was an actor, and then you see him in other movies, and then it turns into a thing where you're like, oh man, there's that guy in that movie. Oh, he also does effects too. That's awesome. Like, and you see him in the making of movies, and he's
From Dusk Till Dawn,
from
is
Dust
Sex
Till Dawn,
Machine.
he's Sex Machine. He's in Planet Terror. Like, he's in all these movies also, and he's hilarious in those movies. But also he's like, I hate using this term. He's like the rock star of effects people
He is.
kind of guy.
He was the face of Splatter.
Yeah.
He was definitely the best at marketing. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I still have the Screen Greats VHS, and then he did another one just called Special Effects that I have as well, which I think is a little bit better. And those are the first ones I bought, and I saw them in a Fangoria magazine.
Yeah.
I think Rob Bottin. No, Rick Baker is the first makeup effects artist that I knew the name because he did Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Yeah.
That's how I was like, oh, fuck, this is amazing. It's the same
Also,
guy who did American Werewolf London.
Yeah.
I also knew Tom Savini because he was on an episode of The Simpsons. Doing like he did a voice on there as himself.
Checks out.
And he basically eats a French fry and his stomach explodes all over the crowd in the cartoon.
Of course.
That's pretty great.
Dave, who's your favorite makeup effects artist?
We already said this.
Well, I knew you were talking about like Rob Bottin as in the thing, but like,
He shot somebody's dick off, Steve.
yeah, that's true. He did. Trevor? I mean, besides, like, let's like narrow it down a little bit. We talked about Kevin Yeager. We talked about K&B. We talked about Tom Savini till our dicks exploded. Greg Canham, Steve Johnson. There's so many.
Greg Canham.
Let's talk about somebody new. Oh, Greg Canham.
Greg
Yeah.
Canham. Amazing.
Now he got to start with Rick Baker, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe so.
He did Lost Boys when I first knew his name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he and V Neil did
Mhm.
Lost Boys. Yeah. Did he work at Cinevision?
I don't remember.
With Rick? Okay. No, but yeah, incredible artist. I mean, and there's a whole that's a whole nother genre. Are your English like makeup effects artists?
Oh yeah, the
right?
guys who did like the Hellraiser movie.
Yeah,
and
yeah. I mean,
Nightbreed.
that's like a whole nother like incredible subgenre because there's different products.
Yeah,
like
I-
there's
I
things
didn't
that aren't
think about that.
available. And that's more innovation born out of that. That kind of, out of that part of the world. And different color palettes, and there's just a really distinctive.
Think of those
look.
Giallo movies. All the blood is really bright red.
Oh,
It's,
yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
like Tenebrae when they slash that throat and it hits the wall, like just sprays on there. That's amazing looking. That's like art.
Yeah.
Like, it's just this one spray of blood coming out
That
of
is
his neck.
tempera paint.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just looks so good.
Yeah.
Which also was that's like Quentin Tarantino's favorite throat slash in a movie, which one of his many inspirations in movies.
Oh yeah, many. But we've talked about De Rossi, and we've talked about a lot of Italian makeup effects artists before. Let's talk about, Weta.
Oh yeah, what
Jesus.
a studio.
I mean, you brought up Dead Alive, but I mean, Peter Jackson blowing up his own shit and having do all that kind of stuff, and then you go to Dead Alive, you're like, holy fuck, this is amazing.
yeah.
And we were gonna actually do an entire episode just on Dead Alive in a week or two. So I guess we should hold off, even though I just brought it up. Fuck me.
But I mean, you can talk. You can talk about what a little bit. I mean, you got to look at the Lord of the Rings movies, like where they came from and where they went. Because you talk about CG and stuff like that. Like, well, they did use some CG in that movie. They used a lot of practical effects, though.
Huge.
And that's the difference between Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit.
Yeah.
And I won't go into this conversation, but let's talk about some shitty effects, though.
Oh, I like this one.
Let's talk about we sort of touched on the bad '90s CG. What do you think is the worst CG you've ever seen?
Worst CG I've ever seen? Oh my god. I mean, okay, the one that, as far as being completely dated, Lawnmower Man.
There you go.
It looks like a Windows 95 screensaver.
It's fucking atrocious. The very first CG ever used in a film that I can think of is a movie called Young Sherlock Holmes. And it was a big fucking deal, and that still looks amazing compared to the Lawnmower Man.
Hey man, that was virtual reality at its finest.
Holy, I am God nowhere. That sucks, dude.
I take that back. I think I said earlier where the American Werewolf in Paris was the first CG.
Oh yeah, we gotta talk about that.
I think Lawnmower Man probably was. Now that I think about it,
Woo.
God, that was bad. But I remember seeing it when I saw the preview when I was a kid, and he's like in the preview was that big head where he's just like, "I am God," you know. I was like, "That's crazy." Like,
It did. It looked great for 1975
It's like,
or
how did
whatever the fuck, you know.
made a whole movie out of a 3-page story. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's only one scene in that whole movie that's in the book, and it's when he's making the lawnmower go up and down in the yard. Trevor?
Worst. I've never had an eye for CG, so I'm just gonna all of it.
All of it.
All of it.
It
All
is
of
all
it.
pretty
All of it,
bad.
yeah.
Like, I mean, you can go like, it's just anything from the '90s to the mid 2000s. Like I said
Yeah.
before, it's just pretty, just fucking bad.
That like
Remember
silver,
morphine?
You know, do I?
Silver what?
No, just the silver. Like
Oh, yeah, the silver.
CG. Like just anything silver. No, done.
Oh, God.
Silver, fire,
Which
but
is basically all of the early 2000s.
there is a lot of cool CG effects though too, and one that I think of was the movie Ghost Ship.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The very beginning of that movie.
That's the
man.
only part of the movie that's good.
And it's all downhill from there. It's like they pulled the scanners, but the movie was absolute shit.
Oh, God. Do we have to talk about this movie?
No, we don't. No, we don't.
No. Ghost Ship. It's you're absolutely right. That movie is just one fucking on top of another.
I saw that in the theater with my girlfriend at the
I
time.
didn't see it with my girlfriend, but I saw it by myself. Thank God. I didn't want anybody to know I saw it until just now. Fuck you.
You know what CG effect I can't stand is that I didn't realize it was because you don't pay attention to it that much. And the Devil's Rejects when they're in the hotel room and she takes that knife and throws it at her.
Oh yeah.
That's all. Like she's just like there's nothing. It's all see. I was like, why would you see like they CG that?
Because it's dangerous.
I just dangerous.
I don't know if you know knives, but they're
like,
sharp.
You could have do a cutaway. I don't know, but I saw that. I didn't notice it. Then I watched the making of, and they showed that part with the CG knife, and that's all I can see now is the fake blood coming out of her chest, and like the knife was like ruined it for me.
But I think a lot of people are starting to go back to practical effects. We're coming sort of full circle because there are still you'll see major studios use a lot of CG. There's things that like obviously you said something about Thor, but like Marvel movies, it's really hard to do that with practical effects.
I mean, we've seen the original.
But I mean,
Thor.
even some of it still looks like shit. Like when they had to take away fucking Henry Cavill's fucking mustache in Justice League,
Yeah,
and he
that's
just looks
awful,
like.
dude.
If you don't know what I'm
Botox.
talking about, go back and watch the Justice League where Superman shows up and just look at his face.
Yeah.
They digitally removed his mustache and it looks awful.
The Watchmen looked great.
But yes, it did. But
Yeah.
I think the Watchmen it had a lot of CG, but it also had some practical effects in there.
It's
Sprinkled
CG
in.
wiener.
And there is a fine line where I think now people are starting to learn. Like, yes, you can use CG effects, like sort of like they did with Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
You can use it, but you need the practical effects too.
You need a nice marriage of
Yeah,
the two.
definitely. Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Interview
somebody
with the Vampire.
I rewatched that recently.
Stan Winston went from Jurassic Park to Interview with the Vampire, and when Tom Tom Cruise gets his throat slashed. It's a mix. It's a practical, and then they smooth it out with CG, and it still looks amazing.
It's a tool in the box.
It's definitely a tool in the box.
Yeah.
You know.
So when are you gonna start getting a computer and kicking ass there, Trevor?
No. I will help. I will help like I will. I've found myself in situations where I will suggest it. I'm like, let's do this, as makeup effects. So like, say somebody gets their leg cut off. I can't make your leg disappear. Sorry, not going to happen. But I can do a prosthetic. And then, if we can't hide your leg, I keep, I keep chroma green and chroma blue makeup in my kit. And I'll paint your leg. We could, that you can key it out in post. It's expensive, but there are certain things that, there are certain times where that's appropriate.
Just like Lieutenant Dan and Forrest Gump.
Exactly.
See,
Which still looks great.
It looks great, yeah.
Put on the green socks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like in Dawn of the Dead remake, and you just hire people who are amputees to be in the movie.
Yeah, they've been doing that since the beginning.
Yeah.
We talked about it, the remakes is their very first episode of Gore Club Podcast, but I just recently went back and watched the remake of Fright Night. It is not nearly as bad as I remember, except for the fucking CG. Like, there's no reason to make Colin Farrell's face articulate and all that with CG. When you watch this making of afterwards, he's wearing makeup. When he kills the original Jerry Dandridge, Chris Sarandon in the car accident scene,
Spoiler.
he's wearing a full prosthetic makeup and with real blood. And then you watch the movie and it's just like all CG. It's fucked. He almost died because like the blood was like shooting into the back of his throat and choking him while he's killing Chris Sarandon. And he's like, and he's explaining it, and he's in full makeup, and they cut the whole thing out. Blasphemy.
That must make you feel like shit. Like
Exactly.
I'm just saying, like, not only for the makeup effects artist, but for the actor that goes through all that, and then they're like, it's the big premiere. This is the big scene I was telling you about, and it's just like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah.
They
Well,
just
it's like David Prowse getting his voice changed. He's like, fuck, that's not me.
Yeah. Well,
Darth
there's like
Vader.
the thing now in Hollywood is they're like digitally making people younger in movies. Like me and my wife were watching that last Spider-Man movie, which I thought was great, but she was like, "What's wrong with that guy's face?" And I was like, "They've made him look younger because he's supposed to look like he did in 2004."
oh,
Right.
Tobey Maguire.
Oh.
But not even him, like the villain, like Doc Ock. Like I was like, he's supposed to look like he did in 2000, like he's supposed to come straight out of Spider-Man 2. That was like 2004.
What's his name? I forgot the guy, the actor. He's a fan.
Molina.
Okay, Alfred Molina. One of the first effects I saw as a child, as I remember, and it's not a horror film. It's in Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it's him. He gets impaled because he's the one that drops the Indy's whip and says, good luck or whatever the fucking takes off, and he triggers some sort of spear.
Trap.
Yeah, the trap, and it kills him. And then when Indy makes his way out of that hole, that big rock falls. It's his dead body impaled, and I remember that effect. And I was like, oh shit! So there you go, CG, real.
Yeah.
I don't know what the connection I'm doing there, but you just spurred like a connection in my brain. I was like, Alfred Molina, yeah, I remember that effect.
But yeah,
Steven Spielberg.
They also did it in the Irishman.
names.
So
The de-aging thing. I don't
Yeah, the
agree with it.
I can't get down with that.
just find an actor that looks like Robert De Niro did, and
yeah.
I'm sure somebody's out there like
Or
like,
use some makeup.
This
You can
75-year-old
You can make
man.
somebody look like Robert De Niro, right? You
Yeah,
can make
I
old
mean,
Robert De Niro
yeah,
look like
you
Robert
could-
De Niro.
Have you done aging makeup or?
I've done, yeah. I
anti-aging?
mean,
Okay.
I've done plenty of aging makeups. I've not done a whole lot of de-aging because gravity makes things happen, and you can't always completely fix that.
just tape everybody's face back.
That actually is a very effective way of doing things.
Oh my God.
There's these little 2 pieces of like clear tape and then basically elastic that you wrap around someone's head. It's a real thing. And it's like instant like facelift tape, and it does work. It has its purpose. I think they used it for what's her name? Angelica Houston's eyes in the Addams Family, the original.
shit.
That's how she is so upturned.
Oh,
And you can do that to the whole face.
Yeah.
Doesn't always look great, but you can. You can do it. But
Goddamn.
I mean, I think with De Niro,
I'm going to do it this
You might be a
weekend
little-
at Horror Hound, see if anybody notices.
do it.
It's like, Dave, you look so young.
Looks so young.
What is the most graphic scene in a movie you can remember?
August Underground Mortem,
I knew you were gonna bring that up.
the bathtub
It's
scene at
so
the end.
fucked.
I can't even talk about it. I feel like I'll go to jail. Yeah, that is probably one of the most graphic ones that I remember. And the only reason I say that is because the first time I watched it, I was very inebriated. Very. And my buddy's like, hey, let's watch this movie. It'll be fun. It was not fun.
No, it's not.
It was very gory.
And you being in Pittsburgh for Savini's school, did you get to meet anybody from the August Underground crew?
Toe
No.
tag.
Yeah, because Fred, who's the director, was actually teaching classes in that school for a while.
Yeah, he wasn't
and-
there when I was there.
Yeah,
but-
Jeremy Cruz and Fred Vogel made that fucked up movie that Dave's talking about, and that scene is fucked up.
It's just, and not only
She'll never be a woman. I'm like, oh,
not,
it looks so real.
It's not just the special effects, but it goes back to what we were talking about earlier about how it was shot.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's grainy. It looks. It's not in 4K. It wouldn't look. It probably if you watched it in like 4K, you'd be like, it looks fake as shit. But it's it's obviously not.
It's not. And that came out. That started as like a necrophagia music video, and then just became movies.
Yeah. I mean, some music videos are just like that. Look at it. Look at Cattle Decapitation, like their music video library. Like was it the last? What was that? Forced Gender Reassignment.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
song,
brutal, dude.
That fucking video is fucking brutal.
Yeah.
What's the most graphic music video you ever worked on, Trevor?
Oh, the most graphic music video?
Yeah.
Oh, band called Vane FM.
Okay.
The song was, oh man, what was the song name? I had this puppet thing that came out of this little kid's bed, right? And it was like, just this head. It looked kind of like a penis, but like it came out of this kid's bed and it's attacking him. He starts stabbing it with a pair of scissors. I dumped like 5 gallons of blood on this kid. I felt so bad for him. He was like 9. He had baseball practice after. I'm blasting his ass with blood. So,
He was probably the coolest kid at baseball
Oh,
practice.
he was the stickiest kid at
just
baseball
looked
practice.
pink.
I
That's
can tell
all
you
I would
that,
have been
yeah.
talking about at baseball practice. Is
Yeah.
all the blood I got covered in.
Yeah. And we dumped about 15 gallons of blood on the band
Fuck
as
yeah.
they were playing. Yeah. I mean, it was the bloodiest music video. In terms of graphic, I don't really know. Like I've
I mean, blasting a kid.
popped a
with
guy's
blood.
chest open.
Oh, that's cool.
All kinds of fun stuff. That was definitely the bloodiest. Yeah, I went through a lot of blood on that. A lot of
Jesus.
blood.
Do you keep any of your prosthetics for your personal collection, like memories?
I've got a few that are in like a box, but for the most part, I don't really keep them because they're usually kind of sweaty and gross.
Was it the song "The Killing Womb"?
Yes.
There you
yes.
go.
Dave.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I made the puppet for that. I did not do the decapitation scene. But I
Okay,
did the
yeah.
puppet.
We'll put the link
I don't
of
want to
that.
take credit for anybody else's work.
We'll put the link of that in the description of this episode.
Just the puppet and blasting that kid with fucking blood.
Oh, that poor kid. Oh man, he did not know what he was in for.
He had a fun story to tell. You were ruined at 8 or 7 when you watched Scanners. Why can't this kid be?
Right. Yeah.
Grow up.
Yeah.
What's a new movie that one of you all have seen and be like, man, that this guy, I need to learn this person's name, because I think that happens as you get older. You kind of stop thinking about who made what.
Yeah.
Like, think of a new special make. You just talked about Hatchet. Like,
Hatchet, yeah.
for the life of me right now, I couldn't think of the goddamn special makeup effects artist on there. And I was going to say John Carl Beekler because I know they worked together on part 2 and a couple of things, but I think he just did cameos. When you get a chance, just look it up. I mean, one new person, Trevor, that you work in the field more than anybody here. So
Chris Nelson, hands down.
what have they done?
Oh shit. Started out, way back in the day, but one of the biggest was Kill Bill.
Oh, nice.
He was working with K&B for Kill Bill. He started Halloween, new mask design. That was all Christopher Nelson.
No shit, yeah.
Suicide
Fear
Squad.
Street, Suicide Squad, Bright. Just all kinds of incredible.
That's kick-ass.
things. Yeah,
American Horror Story.
he's definitely at one of the top right now. But then you've got Vincent Van Dyke in his shop. That they're doing incredible work. They do all the prosthetics, or they did all the prosthetics for Nip Tuck, and they do most of the prosthetics for creation for American Horror Story and a lot of the newer effectsy kind of shows.
I think one of the ones I might just be saying this because I watched it lately, but we rewatched Mandy the other day. and
You
just
talked all through.
yeah, then I talked over the whole movie. But the effects in that and the way that there's the demon biker guys and like the way that they just kind of kept in the shadows and it's just kind of, they're kind of hidden and you don't really see them, but that's like the guy's got the spikes coming out of him and like it's like they look really good and they look good because you don't see everything.
Yeah, the Black Skulls is what they're called.
Yeah, the Black Skull, yeah. And I like it's just like everything in that movie looks so good and it seems like it's probably a mixture of CG and like practical stuff, but like just that's just such a great movie. I love it so much.
That movie is so amazing. And when we went over that movie for the Nicolas Cage episode, we just butchered it.
Yeah.
We're like, we couldn't wait to talk about it. And when we got to talk about it, we're like, fuck.
But yeah, it's like, and also just Bill Duke reads like that whole part of him. It's like, I've never seen somebody in so much pain. And he's like, you know what? They fucking loved it.
Yeah, they did.
I was just like, oh god, it's so good, man.
That film, especially when you have a filmmaker like that who understands like why it worked so well in the past is because of darkness.
Yeah.
And not a lot of light. Well, I mean, a lot of these gods that we've talked about are always like, I like to be part of blocking the scene.
Yeah.
And that means like actually knowing where to place the camera for people who don't know what a blocking the scene means. And then helping with the lighting with the DP, because when they can work together, then your effects look that much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that used to be much more prominent, that, where how this is going to look on camera, how this needs to be shot.
Yeah.
And, directors, even 20, 30 years ago were more open to that, like, here you go. Here, show me how this needs to work. Show me how this is going to look good. But and your effects guys knew what they were doing with blocking shots, with camera angles and everything, because most of them grew up shooting things in their backyard.
Yeah, Super
and
8,
you don't
whatever the
have that anymore. Everything is like a static phone and a ring light. So people don't know, effects artists don't really know how to shoot that kind of stuff anymore. And like directors DPs aren't open to it. And, like that needs to kind of come back, because you lose a lot, because like you have an effect and you're like, yeah, this looks great, and then they blast it with like an LED panel and you're like, shit.
All the seams.
Yeah, you don't need to see everything. Like
exactly. Like, this isn't like, is this supposed to be shot in a grocery store? Like,
no. There's a reason why Jaws is good. It's because you don't get the whole shark the whole movie.
Well, they brought up Evil
the
Dead
end.
and like the 4K version. It's the first time I noticed the garden hose in the shoulder of Cheryl when she's banging on the door and he shoots her through the door.
Oh, yeah.
You can see the garden hose now in her shoulder. It's green and it's shooting blood. Never have I ever seen that before. And I've got that on every format you can think of. It was the 4K. I was like, fuck.
Yeah, so you don't need it. When they give you 4K, you just send it back, unless it's Beastmaster.
We're in 8K now. Like
Oh
it
my
just keeps
God.
getting more and more. Thankfully, though, Lindsay, like we're starting to get to a point with cameras where it's starting to look like film again.
That's cool. It gets
You're
the
gonna
grain.
see that kind of coming back, and I'm thankful.
Like the
I
diffusion.
know everybody else is, because you don't need to I don't need to be able to count your pores on screen. I don't need to see every little hair. Like there needs to be, a little bit of a filter there.
Exactly. There has to be, because we watched, and she was talking about Spider-Man. We watched another Spider-Man movie. It was like last year, the last one, like Homecoming or whatever. And Rachel's like, something wrong with his eyebrows. Somebody needs to fix them. One of Spider-Man's eyebrows was just all fucked up, and that's all. She was just hyper focused on his eyebrows.
Yeah, you don't need to see that. There was
You
actually
wouldn't have seen that in the 70s.
There was a special feature, and I cannot remember what disc it's on, but it's Robert Rodriguez, and he did a small little documentary film called "Film Is Dead." And in that documentary, he's going around to college campuses talking about the new thing of digital filming. He's like, he had just shot Once Upon a Time in Mexico. And he said, this is the worst you're ever going to see digital film look ever. This is my movie. And there's a picture of Danny Trejo on the screen, and he's pointing at it, and he's saying, I want to see all of these cracks and ruin that Danny Trejo's face has gone through. I was like, I understand that, but that's not what I want.
Yeah, you don't need that.
No. And it's great that now with digital, we're going backwards. I mean, we're not going backwards, but they understand that what makes those movies feel warm and like, seeing a movie on VHS, I'm a format nerd. Like I love it all, but I will still hold on to my Salem's Lot
Absolutely.
VHS over there
Yeah.
behind Action
Absolutely.
Jackson or whatever.
That's why I'm watching so much shit on video horror now.
Yeah,
Like I just want to see the grainiest, shittiest film ever.
yeah.
Oh, that's where you find them.
Well, I feel like we've gone through the whole like what we love about films, what we don't like about movies. I think we should come into this episode. But Trevor, I think Dave has a question for you.
Do I?
No, I just want to put it on you because you did it
Already
earlier.
asked, already asked.
Dave does this to me every episode. He just usually does it at the end, and I just wanted to get him once.
Oh no.
No, I did.
He already did it, so
I already asked what the favorite one was, Steve.
Okay.
Thanks.
you're
wonderful.
welcome. I love you guys.
But tell us tell people where we could find you if they want to find you online.
If you really want to find me,
We
You
do.
can, I'm TrevorThompsonMakeup.com. I'm also Trevor Thompson Makeup on Instagram. Trevor Thompson on Facebook. If you want to be a creep and find my Facebook,
You're basically gonna just look up your name.
yeah, just go to my website.
We'll link
It's
your
all on
website.
there.
We'll link your website.
We'll link all that up on this episode. And I know you said you're getting ready to leave out of town and go on another job assignment that you can't talk about.
I can't talk.
Is it
about
buckets
it,
of blood or buckets of like eyelashes? Are there buckets of eyelashes? Whatever.
Buckets of prosthetics.
That's even better.
Sweet.
Lots of blood, but I'm not. A lot of the blood is, out of my hands. So
That's kind of nice.
CG.
it is. It is. I'm the worst effects artist. I hate the feeling of fake blood. Can't stand it.
Tom Savini hates that glue between his fingers.
Can't
He's always
stand
said.
it.
Yeah.
Nope. Hate it. But yeah, lots of prosthetics. It's going to be a very prosthetic heavy film. It should be fun. Hopefully, yeah.
You'll never look back on this and be like, I don't know why I went on this fucking show. 'Cause you'll be rich and famous after this gig.
God willing.
Ace, any closing remarks?
No.
You want to talk? You want to talk more about American Werewolf in Paris?
Yeah, I want to talk more about American Werewolf.
Oh, I was hoping we were joking about
and
that.
Brian Dennehy.
Yeah, this the soundtrack,
To our lives.
All right.
Bushmouth.
We're done.
Dave, you want to get us out
We're
of here?
done here. Thanks everybody for listening. You can everybody in all these countries, and you said Poland, Peru, Sweden. Thanks everybody.
They're all new.
You can find us where you found us and where you're listening to us right now. Or you can go to Anchor FM, Breaker, Google Podcast, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Castbox, and verbal.com.
Yeah.
YouTube, Facebook, I don't have a Twitter or anything. But
We're on Slasher.
Slasher.
I haven't
That's
posted
right.
in weeks.
Yeah. So thanks for listening, and bye.
Bye.
Bah.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.